Howdy YouTube, Eznix here with a little video for you. We have a look at video. I haven't done one of these in a few months, and I noticed that ALG Linux is back out of beta status and has released new ISOs for their 3 desktops and the pure version of their 3 desktops, and we'll go into what those entail. So ALG Linux started back in about 2021, I believe, and initially it was Arch Linux GUI as an Arch Linux GUI installer, a live ISO, and there were several desktops back in the day as well. I remember the developer, Demon Killer, getting a bunch of flack for calling his project Arch Linux GUI, as it's not Arch and it wasn't related to the Arch project. It's a separate independent respin of Arch. However, the name is now ALG. I believe it stands for Akra Linux GUI. So it's still a fast offline graphical installer for Arch Linux. And what Demon Killer provides is a very standards-based Arch install, which I appreciate very much. ALG, now that it's back, it seems to be back in full release status, which is great, is my number one Arch-based Linux system, besides my own, of course, Ezarcher. But if I wanted to give up my own project, I could easily use ALG without any qualms. And that says a lot. I have my own standards and very few, if not any, Arch-based systems tick all of my boxes. ALG comes damn close. So let's take a look at the files here. We have the old beta files, and we have brand new as of August 25th, 24, Plasma, GNOME, and XFCE desktops, as well as Plasma Pure, GNOME Pure, and XFCE Pure. The Pure versions have no real customization, are very limited in packages. The full versions are, I believe, customized. I know the XFCE is, that's the one we're going to look at. So I can only assume the Plasma and the GNOME are also customized appearance-wise, plus may have some extra packages. You can tell by the size differences of the ISOs, certainly the full versions should have more. As I said, we'll be taking a look at the XFCE full version here. There is also an ALG Github project, and you can look at all of the code related to the ALG project here, the website itself, and it's a very basic website. All the repos for all of the spins, as well as ALG's repo, a repo of, I believe, yes, the PKG build files used for the few software packages added to the respin here. Let's take a quick peek. So we have a welcome app, Calamares config, Calamares itself, the theme, some settings, and a testing for Calamares. Very limited. I like it. I like it a lot. Doesn't add a whole lot of, proprietary, not proprietary in the sense of closed source, but outside of the Arch repos, proprietary, independent packages. Looks like just themes and the installer and a welcome. Very nice. So let's take a look at the actual distribution. I'm running it in VirtualBox. This is the BIOS, legacy BIOS boot screen. So we have a choice of FOSS GPU drivers, latest NVIDIA drivers only, and then boot existing OS and the other options. So let's go right into the FOSS GPU drivers boot option here. Move this up into the corner. I believe the screen will get a bit bigger when it goes into the graphical part of the boot, but we'll see. I forgot exactly the settings for this VM here. Yep, we're getting a little more screen real estate. Good. It should boot right into the desktop. I know most Arch Linux respins like to bypass the login. I'm one of the only ones, I believe, Ezarcher, that is, who boot to a SDDM login screen on the live ISO. Okay, we have a welcome screen with some options: installer, update the system, update the mirror list, fix screen resolution, a link to their GitHub page, which we saw, also a link to their Discord server. Let's take a quick peek around the desktop here. We have a nice dark theme, it looks like. All the usual suspects here for settings. We do have the NVIDIA X server settings panel here. Accessories, file roller for compression, calculator for calculator, and the rest is all standard. Image viewer, browser, and a Vahi and an FTP program. We have Parole Media Player, VLC, and XFBurn. We have a dictionary, and we have the installer. Cups is already here, okay. The welcome, and that's about it. Not bad. Very trim system. Let's go ahead and start the installer. Should bring up Calamares any second now. And it does launch Calamares with the debug option. That's nice. So next, got our zone set up correctly. Have our keyboard set up correctly. We'll do the manual disk partitioning because I did notice ALG does suffer, like Ezarcher, from Calamares' bug of not installing the bootloader on the master boot record on a manually partitioned BIOS MBR disk. So we'll have to use our little workaround. If you didn't see my video on the Calamares bootloader bug, the workaround is to step past the partitioning setup, go back, change the bootloader installed on option, and then continue. So we set up a new partition table. Let's create our partitions. We'll do a 20 gig ext4, but let's see what our choices are. Whew, a lot of choices. Okay, we'll stick with ext4. Root, let's call it root. It's our bootable volume, and it is the root partition. Let's set up a small swap partition. Let's call it swap and indicate the swap flag. And one final partition, remainder of the space, ext4, mounted at home, and call it home. Very good. Now, we do have to change this setting. Go next, go back, and change it back to master boot record. And that should ensure that the bootloader does get installed correctly. It would be wonderful if Calamares would fix that bug and not consider it closed. And we go right into the installation. Cool. That's an odd graphic of alien abduction. Are we being abducted into ALG or Arch Linux installer? Okay, while this is happening, let's take a quick peek at some of the settings being applied in Calamares. Calamares, there you are. Modules. Let's take a look at mount. Okay, this is very standard. No real customization here. Maybe the compression on BTRFS file systems, but other than that, very basic. Almost an exact replica of the Calamares mount.conf example file. I don't make many changes either, but I do make some. Packages, let's take a look. Okay, interesting. Try remove. So during installation, these packages will be removed. Looks like it's all Calamares and installer related, which is good. In the past, ALG had a try remove list that went on for pages, and I get the fact that the developer wanted to leave the resulting installed system as lean as possible, but trying to remove a whole bunch of system packages that you know are necessary just wastes time in the installer. This is a very nice, concise list of very good packages to remove that are really not necessary after installation on an XFCE desktop. Some of these, the Qt5 stuff, you'd leave for Plasma, of course, but for XFCE, this is a good list. Let's see, partitioning. If we did do an EFI partition, it looks like 300 megabytes is the recommended size for the EFI system partition. It's a little small for my taste. If you want to play with multiple kernels, 300 megabytes is rather small, very limiting, I think. I much prefer my choice of 1 gig. It's not as though you're wasting space, not a whole lot of space, and it gives you a lot more flexibility with multiple kernels. Let's see, unpack FS, unpack the file system, and then copy the kernel separately. Cool. Users, let's see. Okay, default groups. Good, nice list of groups to put the user in. Bash is the default shell. Good choice. Very standard. Yeah, I like these settings so far. Very nice settings for a standard install. We can see we are progressing quite nicely through the installation here. Anything else to look at? Oh, let's look at the terminal. Oh, that's nice. I like seeing a default unstylized terminal. Very clean, just down to business. See if I can grab that lower edge or do it this way. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. Whatever. That's what I wanted to do. Let's do fast fetch. Okay, and we got a nice little output for fast fetch. So just a newer, faster version of NeoFetch. Gives a little more information. We can see swap is set up, so we must be using ZRAM for swap in the live system. I also noticed the locale is set to ENUS UTF-8. Interesting. The default for an Arch ISO is C-UTF-8. So ENUS is fine, especially for me. I'm English speaker in the US, no problem. C is a little more internationally compliant, still in English, but not with all the US specific formatting options. It's okay, either way is fine. Cool. We're down to installing packages or removing packages. It doesn't have any installation of packages during the install. Just that list you saw of removing Calamares, all of its associated dependencies, and a few Arch installation tools that are not typically needed on a live system or an installed system. Now, my own Ezarcher list is very short. It's just Calamares, CKB comp, and Arch install. I leave everything else because one of the points of Ezarcher is as a building platform. And if you want to build Calamares, you're going to need all those dependencies in there anyway. So whether you have an XFCE desktop, you're still going to need some Qt5 and Qt6 packages just to build Calamares. I know it takes up a little more space in the install system, but as I said, for Ezarcher purposes, as a building platform, it's nice to have those in there. You don't have to go grab them later. Now, for ALG, that's not obviously the point of ALG, is to be a building platform for the end user to build respins. So there's no need for all the Calamares dependencies to stick around. There aren't that many of them, but looks like we are installing the bootloader just fine. So that should be yield a good bootable system, especially since we're dealing with an legacy BIOS MBR system with manual partitioning. So just to get around that Calamares problem that they're no longer recognizing as a problem. Back to our alien abduction scene. Would have been nice if you put ALG along the craft, the UFO. Okay, we're done, finally. That's it, done. Let's hit close. Let's reboot and see what happens. See if we got the welcome screen coming up in the installed system. So now we're going to boot from existing OS. That would be the installed system. And we have a stylized grub menu here. So let's boot it up. We got the standard Linux kernel in Arch. Not sure which kernel it is. I use the LTS most of the time, and I provide the LTS kernel in my Ezarcher, so I don't really keep up with the current standard kernel. I find the LTS kernel meets my needs, my hardware just fine. So we have our customized desktop with the background. Take a look, see what other backgrounds are in here. And it looks like the welcome screen is up and running. Cool. We'll do the update and the mirror list in just a moment here. Let's go ahead and remove the ISO. And let's update the mirror list, see if that works. country, US. Okay, let's update it. HTTPS is the protocol. Good. Sort by rate. Okay. Let's give it our password. Okay, it's just finding some mirrors that are not responding or not responding in time. Good. Let's run the update. And we need our password. So it looks like it's just running Pacman. Okay, we have quite a few updates. It's been almost a week, 5 days, 7 days since the ISO was dropped. So we have a new kernel. Wow, look at that. As well as a whole lot of other stuff. So this will give us a chance to see the update process and make sure it works. Oh, Mesa updated, Network Manager. Okay, some big boys in the list here. And because kernel updated, we're running generating a new init RAM FS. Okay. I assume since it exited, we are good to go. Let's not auto start this, and we need password for that. Okay. Let's reboot and see if it worked. So far, so good. I am very much appreciating ALG's simplicity and compliance to Arch Linux norms. By that, I mean things like Garuda and Endeavor going rogue with Dracut instead of mkinitcpio. Naughty, naughty. So we have a nice package base to work from. We'll check pacman.conf just to make sure. No, we'll check pacman.conf just to make sure we're not pulling in any other mirrors, any other repos. Let's see what we got here. Core testing, extra testing, multi-lib, and nothing else. Lovely. I love it. Very nice. Just getting Arch and nothing outside the Arch repos. Very cool. Let's do a sudo pacman scc to clear out the cache. I always do that, run it twice just to make sure that we're not wasting any space in the pacman cache with old packages. And very good. What else did I say we were going to do? Can't remember now. Well, overall, oh, a very nice system. Let's check the desktop backgrounds, because that's always a question. Okay, very standard XFCE collection. This might be different. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's nice. See if there's anything else. Backgrounds? No. Okay, so XFCE. Not a bad choice. We'll go back to the gray standard background for ALG. So Akra Linux GUI. Oh, let's run that welcome screen again. Let's go to About. In the About, this is where I find the real name, because it's not on the Sourceforge page, and I didn't see it on the Github page, but it probably is on the Github page. Welcome to Akra Linux GUI, your gateway to an efficient and powerful Arch-based Linux experience. Okay, you can read the rest. I'll leave it up there. Overall, I'm very happy with it. If I wasn't running my own Arch-based system, I could easily use ALG now. And I'll follow it. I'll follow the project. Hopefully Demon Killer is serious about staying in the respin business or the distro business, whichever you find is a more generous term to use. I like his work. I like it a lot. To me, it's the second best Arch-based spin out there. Easily one I could recommend. So take care, folks. Stay safe. Be happy. Have fun. I will see you, or you'll see me, in another video at some point. Bye-bye.